What's up, everyone? It's Justus West here with my friends at Guitar Center, and we are here today to check out the Brigade, a sick new pedal from Universal Audio that's based off of the legendary BOSS CE-1. It offers classic, coarse, and vibrato. A little bit about me, I'm a 7-time Grammy-nominated musician and producer from Kansas City, and I've worked with artists like Vince Gill, Ariana Grande, John Legend, Mac Miller. I even was a finalist in a Guitar Center competition with Vince a few years ago. The Brigade is based off of the legendary BOSS CE-1 and offers classic, coarse, and vibrato. It also offers the fat and full sound of its iconic preamp. Before we get into hearing the pedal, let's talk about some of its controls. So the first knob we're going to take a look at is the rate knob. And the cool thing to note about this is that the coarse is actually a fixed rate, so the rate only changes the rate of the vibrato. The next knob we'll take a look at is the depth knob, which adjusts the amount of modulation against the dry signal. Now let me tell you, a little bit of depth goes a long way in this pedal. The last knob I want to draw attention to is the level knob. When set to 12 o'clock, it will give you about the same gain signal as when it's bypassed. But the cool thing is this pedal has a built-in preamp that can also be deactivated. Now the preamp is always on when the pedal is engaged. When you boost the level knob past 12 o'clock, it gives you a gain boost and you can even drive the internal preamp. But it's nice to turn off if you want to on your dry signal. On the back of this pedal, you will find the switch that turns the preamp on and off. You will also find a switch where you can go between true and buffered bypass depending on how you want it to be in your chain. All right, before I get into playing some progressions, let's walk through the settings you'll be hearing. I want to point out that the rate knob, again, does not change the rate of the coarse, only the vibrato, so we don't have to worry about the rate for now. But we will talk about the depth. So I have the depth set to about 25 or 30% up. This goes a long way, as you will hear. As for the level knob, I have it set directly to 12 o'clock, so there's not much preamp coloring happening. It's about around where it would be if it was bypassed. So coarse goes down forever is one of my favorite modulation effects to put on guitar simply because it adds so much life, and this pedal does not disappoint. The first thing I'll point out is that the depth of this coarse is beautiful. It definitely sounds very, very, very warm and also genuine and authentic. You know, sometimes coarse maybe doesn't sound warm or thick or doesn't really add much to the tone. It's kind of more the effect, but this coarse actually has deeper depth that it adds to the guitar and the tone. All right, I have another progression for you, but before we get into it, let's talk about the settings. For this progression, I ramped the depth way up just so you can hear how crazy it can get. And I also boosted the level to give us some more of that good preamp gain. For playing very prominent lead guitar lines or even chords, how I was where there's like a top line on your chords, I feel like it really helps melodic lines stick out in a way that in a mix would really like poke it out. And just to show the versatility of this pedal, I backed off the level some and I want to show you those same chords so you can hear the difference. With the level back down, I feel like it brings out more of the coarse tone. With the level kind of boosted, you can hear the preamp color start to enter. But once I backed it back down, you can even hear more top end of what the coarse is doing and more of the wave kind of warping that's happening. I want to show you how much range this pedal really has. There's even more settings you can get out of it. So for this one, I boosted the level way up, so we're hitting the preamp, and I dropped the depth way down. Check this out. Speaking of the level knob, I want to show how this pedal can still color your tone even when the modulation effect is not engaged. Right now, the preamp switch is in the off position, so the level knob has no effect on your dry signal. So it'll just sound like this. Now, when I switch the preamp switch on, your guitar still sounds like this. But the cool thing that happens is when I boost the level knob, it sounds like this. This provides a cool way of editing your tone even when your chorus/vibrato is not on, because now I can use the preamp built into the pedal to give me more gain heading to the amp, or even into a distortion or after a distortion, depending on how your signal chain is set up. Now I'm going to flip the switch over so we can check out the vibrato. Now to showcase the vibrato, I've also added a touch of reverb to the amp. Before I jump into this next chord progression, let me show you the settings I'm rocking with. Now to note, I have the preamp on, so I boosted the level up a good amount. I mean, we're talking about 75–80%. For rate, I've set it to be a bit faster because the extra speed makes this next progression sound pretty cool. And as for depth, I have it set right at 12 o'clock. Again, a little bit goes a long way, but I did want a little bit of extra depth for this. So what's crazy is vibrato is not even normally in my arsenal, but I have to say this particular one brought out something very interesting in my playing and in that previous progression. The first thing I noticed is that when I was playing it more staccato and rhythmic, I was able to play how I normally play, but when I let a chord ring out, the vibrato added a certain character or flair, so that as I'm holding a chord out, you actually didn't notice as much that I went from doing something maybe more interesting like a staccato rhythm. This is a cool application for vibrato. It's just adding slight, subtle, or maybe not so subtle interest to a very simple progression. All right, I want to show you another awesome setting I got out of the Brigade. So for this vibrato setting, I decided to go with a pretty slow rate, so I have it only up about 10%. On the depth, I have it though at about 60%. And on the level, I just boosted it to like 1 o'clock. So we're just getting a little bit of extra preamp gain. So that setting is cool because, again, vibrato adds such an interesting flair to simple progressions. I'm normally a tremolo arm user, and, sometimes it can be conflicting in your usage, but I found that keeping the vibrato on for that progression allowed my hand to stay free to focus more on playing the chord. And then at the very end, I could kind of sweep into the chord using my tremolo arm. To sum up, the Brigade is a must-have for your pedal board. Whether you're a vibrato or a chorus user or both, you will find a great sound to get out of this pedal. Me personally, I would love to put it after my distortions just to add a little depth to my solo tones. Make them cut a little bit more and add a little bit of interest or flair. I could imagine even the vibrato set to a pretty low level would be kind of cool to play a high note and then turn the pedal on, at that note just to make it really sing. And of course, to add, this preamp in the pedal is amazing even on its own. So even if you added it to your pedal and manipulated the level knob to manipulate the preamp gain, you could also get some great uses out of this pedal. So it's kind of like getting 2 pedals in one. So if you want to learn more about the Universal Audio UAFX Brigade, go to guitarcenter.com and call one of their expert gear advisors, or just go into your local GC.